What's going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hit the like button if you haven't already, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Share this out, do all the good stuff. Appreciate you guys' support on the Roster Bubble videos, the Hard Knocks recaps, all that other good stuff, and even Yankee content as well. So please keep coming to the videos. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Share out. That's very big. Share it out. We're going to do more stuff. We're hoping to do a all-star break stream for the Yankees. We're hoping to do a couple of things for the Giants, but nonetheless, we're in another Roster Bubble Series video, and today we're going to talk about Jimmy Morrissey. But nonetheless, in these Roster Bubble videos, they take a player that's on the roster bubble. I talk about their background, competition, ways they could win a spot on the roster, ways they could lose a spot on the roster, and then a prediction at the end. So Jimmy Morrissey, center, is our candidate today. He's 26 years old, from Huntingdon Valley, Pennsylvania, 6'3", 303 pounds. Between 2016 and 2020, he went to Pittsburgh, was one of the starters there on the offensive line, was a 7th-round pick of the Raiders in 2021. Then he was cut and resigned to the practice squad. Then he was claimed off by the Houston Texans in 2021. That was a couple of days after he was signed to the practice squad. Made his NFL debut on November 7, 2021, and he ended up playing, at least according to Pro Football Reference, he played 258 snaps, which is 4 starts, 5 games, 81% of the offensive snaps in those games, which is good or bad, whatever, but he was a reserve, so that's him getting his first burn. 2022, 8 games, 57 snaps total on offense, 12%. And then 1 game in 23, 3 snaps, 4% in those games. And, of course, you have your mix of special teams. Now, whether that's right or not, we'll see. But nonetheless, we go into it. He's only played 318 offensive snaps in his NFL career. In terms of pass protection, run blocking, that ratio, pass protection 179, 139 as a run blocker. So as a pass protector, let's start with 2021 because that's where he got his most burn. Pass protector, 20. That's not good. Run blocker, 56.8. Solid, decent, average. You move on to 2022. Less snaps, but 50.5 in terms of the run blocking. And in terms of pass protection, 67.4. And 2023, not much of a sample size, 73.8 pass pro and 60 in run blocking. So it's very interesting, like the grades, and you have to look into a lot of different things, right? You can't just go on PFF and say, oh, this, that, and the third, let's go off the grades. You have to look at his snaps too because, again, he hasn't gotten a lot of burn in the NFL, but if you look based off grades, he does improve. But again, 3 separate coaching staffs, all these other different things, 3 separate offensive line coaches to my knowledge. But anyway, he comes in and he's going to be competing with Austin Schloedman, who we may or may not do a video on because I think he could very well make the roster, but then again, he may not make the roster. Jalen Mayfield, he's a guard, so he's going to be in that category. He may take snaps at center too. Yadni Kajusti, who will be cross-trained Marcus McKeithen and Jake Kubas. So how can he win? Pass protection, understanding protection signals, run plays. Let's talk about pass protection first. I think that's probably, not to say that the Giants will primarily focus there, but I think it's going to be a huge focus for the Giants because, in recent years, not that run blocking has been superb, but they've done a better job at that than they have pass pro. It just hasn't been steady and it hasn't been balanced, but I think pass pro does go a long way. And with Jimmy Morrissey, right, it's going to be, he's not going to try to make this roster as a starter. It'll be as a backup unless there's a number of injuries on the offensive line. But he's going to have to understand the protection signals from the quarterback, the run plays, the pass plays, the slide protections, all these other different things with whoever is the quarterback of the team that he's going to be on. So let's just say he's with the second team. He's going to have to develop a bond with Drew Lock, but he's also going to have to develop a bond with the other quarterbacks just in case he's either bounced to another team or they make some shifts, maneuvers. It's going to be a lot of mental with Jimmy Morrissey. Sliding to guard, he's going to have to play a little bit of guard. I think that's the way it's going to work with the Giants, right? So you have Schmitz as center. You have Austin Schloedman as center. I don't know if Stinney can play center. But Jimmy Morrissey, he's another center right now. So that's 3 centers. So Morrissey probably plays with the third team, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. So let's see. Morrissey, third team, that's Tommy DeVito. But nonetheless, same task. Develop, sort of bond with him, and just have it up here. And also, again, slide to guard, because if the center gets hurt or the guard gets hurt on the second team, you're going to have to slide in. Same could be said with the first team. But pull flexibility, I think the Giants like guys that can pull. That's really been the model the last 2 years with the Zudu and all these other different guys that they've drafted. But you'll see Carmen Brasil likes to have his guys out in front, and you really saw it. I think it was around the time he got hired by the Giants when he was breaking down the crack toss to Josh Jacobs, and you had all these guys pulling out in front. And if Jimmy Morrissey can do that, that's a leg up over some of the other offensive linemen and whatever else Jimmy Morrissey can do. How can he lose? Injury is definitely one of them. I think that would be big, probably his biggest knock. Regression. Again, limited sample size. You could take away 2023 if you want, but if you want to go off 2022, he did improve slightly based on the metrics. But if he does regress, and this is probably the best offensive line coach he's had ever since coming into the NFL. Now, you could say, actually, no, that was 2021, so, the Raiders thing does barely count. But this is probably the best offensive line coach that you could think of for Jimmy Morrissey. The other guys, no disrespect to them, but Brasillo, what he did with the Raiders line, what he did with the Pats line, it's going to be about, hey, what happens here in terms of, okay, this is your best offensive line coach that you've ever had. You've got to play really well, and he's got to like you. But regression, that's going to be big, and lack of understanding of the playbook and blocking scheme. I would like to think that the blocking scheme in the playbook, maybe not so much the playbook, but the blocking scheme to start is going to be a little bit simpler than other offensive line coaches in the past, maybe in Morrissey's past, maybe in the Giants' past. But I think Carmen Brasillo, in contrast to the other O-line coaches that the Giants have had, and I'm not holding out hope for a lot of things, for Brasillo, I think it's about developing. He's talked about it. The offensive line position is developmental. You gotta, work these guys through. Nowadays with the O-line coaches, right? It's more about you do stuff in training camp, you do stuff in the mini camps and all this stuff, but also the mini camps and all that other good stuff is about getting the playbook in. It's more about game preparation nowadays than actually developing the position. I like Brasillo's stance on that because, again, you talk about some of these O-line coaches. The real thing, again, nowadays is they have their separate O-line coach, these O-line players like Evan Neal had. The Hall of Famer, I think, from the Bengals, Willie Anderson or whatever his name was, and he was working on his stance and stuff like that, but then he comes in and it doesn't really go on the field because Bobby Johnson is, A, not a good O-line coach, and B, well, he's more focused on the game than anything. So there's pretty much that. So regression, lack of understanding of the playbook, blocking scheme, and injury. So I think personally, Jimmy Morrissey does get cut. Now, again, I could be wrong. There's going to be another roster prediction after training camp, after the preseason. But I feel like Austin Schloedman has more NFL experience. The New York Giants can't have what they had last year with, we're going to shove this guy onto the roster and he's going to start this game like Jalen Thomas and Jalen Mayfield and this, that, and the third. They cannot have that. And I think Austin Schloedman, is he a great backup center? No, but he's a quality backup center that has a lot of NFL experience compared to some of these guys on the roster, and he outduels Morrissey. But if Morrissey plays well enough, he could probably sneak on as a practice squad guy. That's just my personal opinion. Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops for you drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.